Radio X. John Kennedy's
Track by Track podcast.
You can call me anything you want.
You're listening to Exposure. It is XFM. I'm John Kennedy, and that is Arctic Monkeys with Cornerstone from the last album, Humbug, from 2009. And Arctic Monkeys are back. Suck It and See is the new record. It's out this week, and tonight is getting the Exposure album playback treatment. And I've got Matt Helders and Alex Turner from the band, breathless, because they've been running to the studio.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us, mate.
It's a pleasure. And the new album's sounding great. We're going to play the whole thing tonight. You're going to talk us through it track by track. And when did you start thinking about recording a new record?
Probably about this time last year. Yeah, maybe a bit earlier when we stopped touring. Did some gigs in Mexico. His plan was to get straight into it after that, but I'd sort of forgot to write any songs, so I took the summer to do that.
Yeah.
And got on with it in September.
Right. And so, did you go straight then? It was recorded in Los Angeles. Did you go straight to Los Angeles and record, or did you have a spell when you went somewhere else to work on these songs? Or
Yeah, we were. We all sort of got back together last September in London. Got a rehearsal room, and sort of the four of us and James Ford began to develop them a little bit. Jamie had come to visit me in New York before, and we'd sort of started working on some guitar parts for these tunes that I've been writing. But the four of us didn't get back in until September, and kind of took it from there. Did that up to Christmas, and went to Los Angeles in January.
Right, so it was recorded this year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. And how long did you spend in Los Angeles?
About 5 weeks.
Right.
Well, we did because we recorded it and mixed it while we were there. So we did first couple of weeks we recorded. Then we had time then to mix it while we were there. So altogether about 5 weeks.
Right. So you kind of mixed it straight away. No,
pretty much
hanging around. No dithering or anything like that.
Plan were we'd have 2 weeks to record, have a week to listen to it, and then go in and mix it. But we sort of overran a little bit with recording, so we ended up, we finished in the studio on the Friday and went into mix on the Saturday, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
was it? It's you make it sound really straightforward, and I guess you got James Ford producing again. It's like the whole team back together.
Yeah, it is the old gang.
Team.
Yeah. So did that make it really simple? James obviously has worked with you so much. He's like a fifth member of the band, or sixth member of the band.
He makes us the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Is he curly?
Yeah, exactly.
Curly had no hair, didn't he? Oh, right.
He's actually all right at basketball.
Yeah,
James.
that's the thing.
Really?
A little bit of a fact for you there. Yeah.
Used to play at an alright level.
Really?
Yeah. Regional.
Wow. Did he represent his...
Regional, I believe, wasn't it?
I thought he did not represent the country.
Did he?
Did he?
No.
I don't know. He
Countryside.
told me.
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not that tall, is he?
That's it. It just shows you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't need it.
You just
He's
need
got
the skills.
hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So does that mean you were playing basketball with him, or is this just something he boasted about?
No, we had a bit. Well, when we were
shot
mixing,
some hoops,
there were a hoop outside studio where we were mixing, so every now and then we'd have a little bit.
Yeah, I'm imagining a kind of Beastie Boys scenario where you're all playing basketball,
All just shouting.
shouting at each other. Brilliant. Did you have, with approaching this new album, did you have anything that you wanted to do that you hadn't done with the other three? Did you, with regard to Humbug, did you think, right, well, we don't want to do that again? That kind of took us down this road. We want to go down this other road now. It's got more greenery on it. Or
yeah, I think it was just wanted to work with James again, and he's been involved in really pretty much every record we've done, really, but never right from the beginning of it or whatever. Right, just him on it by himself. So that was one thing I wanted to do. So when we sort of talked about doing a record, he was involved in them conversations, and we just had this idea that we'd try and get a foundation of songs together that were kind of complete in a way, in the sort of purest form, the chords, melody and lyrics, get a foundation of that, and then apply to each one what we felt was required, which is, I suppose, again, sounds really simple, but it's perhaps not the way we have worked on the whole in the past. Like there'd be a couple of tunes on each album that kind of came from that, came about like that. But it was usually a bit more. We'd have things lying around, like a load of riffs or some words and this, and we'd like jigsaw them together to make the songs. Whereas there were a lot less of that this time. I suppose we took a more like traditional route.
So you write the song, start it from the beginning, it finishes. There's no kind of detours or.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. There's a bit of that, and kind of we have let ourselves have one wig out.
So do you think you were restraining yourself? Do you think, well, we had we kind of let ourselves go in a sense with Humbug and got to do just what we felt like, and this time let's be a bit more disciplined. Let's restrain it a bit.
I think or like trying to put just a limit on it, at least to doing very little or no overdubs, and just kind of keeping it as simple as it can be. But in order to do that, the sort of song has to be pretty sturdy in itself, like before you start. So that's why like we made that decision to try and like spend a bit of time working on that. And also the idea of really getting your act together and like rehearsing it so you can sort of play them all before you go into the studio, which is not something we've perhaps done that much of on the last couple of records. The first one obviously was done pretty much like that because we've been playing it around before we recorded it, but that was something we wanted to try and do, was get rehearsed. So most of the sort of production side were done like in London before we went. I had to record, and then that allowed them sessions to be all about getting the best recording of the, it weren't about should this have another chorus or should this bit go there, and that was all pretty much like sorted before we went out there, and then it was just getting the sounds right. And I think like listening to it, I think it sort of sonically it's quite. I can hear that's had some attention.
Yeah. So do you think this is a result of becoming seasoned professionals? Fourth album in, you know exactly what you're doing in a way. You kind of have an approach that is the result of how far you.
Maybe, I still sort of don't really know which knobs to twiddle, but I kind of pretend I do a bit sometimes.
But do you rely on the others then? Are they the expert knob twiddlers?
I think probably more James, actually, that department.
So I mean, with regard to these songs, and were they recorded pretty much live, or because from the sound of it, it sounds like each song was prepared, ready to go, and you could just go in and make the recording?
That's it. We tried to go out like one a day, sort of thing, and then we did like stick to that a bit. Kind of went back at the end and ended up singing a few again, or putting a bit of finishing touches on them. But like we pretty much kind of went in the morning, worked out whatever dialed in everyone's sounds, played through it a few times, and you fit 3 takes on the tape or whatever, and then if you've not got it, make a decision. And that's sort of that working like that. That's pretty good as well. It's kind of informs every decision, like that you can't sort of put it off till later. And I think that's again, but you need to have your act together, I suppose, to be able to do that. But that was a position I suppose we were in by that time, and it just we're good, and it was quite rewarding, I suppose, because then at the end of the day, like the last thing you're doing, you put in the tambourine on it, and then you've got a new thing. And
no, that's something to kind of go home and I guess even listen to, at least it's like job done.
And you've got a pretty clear picture then of like what you're making on the whole, like as you go along. It's like that's something we've had in the past. You get to like the end of a session and you're like, oh, what it needs this here, and that thing doesn't exist, and then going away and trying to like write that song or whatever it is that you think is usually quite difficult, or I've found it to be.
Yeah. Well, tonight we're going to hear every single song on Suck It and See, the brand new album by Arctic Monkeys. Alex and Matt are here, and I'm going to play the first of those songs on the way in just a moment.
John Kennedy's Track by Track
Podcast.
Radio X.
John Kennedy's
Track by Track
Podcast.
Radio X.
It is Arctic Monkeys with She's Thunderstorms, the opening track to the brand new album, Suck It and See. It's just come out, and Alex and Matt from the band are here tonight to talk us through it track by track. I'm John Kennedy. She's Thunderstorms is the opening number, and you were saying about recording a track a day. Did you record them in the order that they resulted on the record?
No, we didn't. We had like an order together that we thought was going to be the order like before we went out there, which we recorded them in, but it just ended up not really working out like that.
Yeah.
That was the plan, was like, oh, let's get it to a point where, like, you know, even that's in place. But yeah, I didn't quite manage that. So we started with that one instead.
Yeah. It kind of starts gently, and then the drums kick in, and then it goes gentle again, and it has a kind of Smith-y quality to it, possibly, with the guitars.
I'll swallow that, mate.
Yeah. Okay. And is it basically one way of saying? So is it basically just a way of saying she's great?
It is, mate. It really is. Yeah,
She's a Bobby Dazzler.
Exactly. She's plural. No.
Excellent. So it's kind of simple. So and is this it's just an observation? So you know, the woman you love or somebody you think is great, it's like she's just thunderstorms.
I say, I'm just trying to think of I don't know, new compliments.
Yeah. Would you say that to somebody's face? You're thunderstorms.
I hope somebody would. Maybe, yeah.
Maybe people.
I can imagine. There's a mate of mine that I can imagine saying it. Like, that's what we thought. Like, is this one lad I can imagine describing some as thunderstorms?
Yeah, it says. Yeah, no, I like it. It'll be interesting.
Maybe you can help it. Yeah, you know, see if you can get that to catch on.
Get it trending.
I'll try and work it into the show on a regular basis. Yeah. Maybe I could describe songs. That's thunderstorms.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. And the guitar solo is almost. Well, I've written down here. Kind of Richard Hawley meets the Pixies or something.
Yeah, it's Saturn.
Yeah, I think that I hear a lot of Pixies on this record.
There's a bit. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, like, that's something we were listening to a bit in the sounds, obviously, on that, like the way the drums sound, and that's sort of that thing talking about it being really simple. I suppose is something they do really well.
Mm.
But I know, yeah, Ollie as well. Who are like, you know, I mean, you know, I'm a a huge fan of his.
I think it's ever present. Actually, I think that even in 10, 20 years' time, and he's still making music. I think Richard's influence will probably still be there. Isn't it? It's been such a pivotal influence to you, both of yours and Jamie's guitar playing in a way. And, you know, it's
yeah, I think so, and even like the songwriting in a way. I think, you know, it's like yes, I wouldn't deny that.
So Black Treacle is the next song with some interesting lyrics about seeing belly button piercings in the sky. It's kind of
that's it.
It's entering
psychedelic
territory. And there's a reference to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You've got all sorts of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
So what can tell us about Black Treacle and how it all came together?
That was one of the last tunes we wrote for it, really, in London. And I don't know, I think the belly button piercings thing was I'd like forgotten about them as a piercing.
Yeah.
They were really rife at one point.
They seem to be.
But I suppose they've like died out a bit. Well, maybe not, I don't know, just in circles that I move in. But I don't know.
Did Matt take his piercing out?
Yeah, I mean, gets to a point where it looks silly.
I kind of just thought.
Excellent. No, there's lots of those nice touches throughout the record where you bring.
Sometimes they look a bit like stars.
And it's never there when you want it. Black Treacle.
It's never there, is it? Whether you want it or not.
Excellent. And again, Joey Santiago, is he a guitar inspiration?
I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, that's all that bendy. Snaky business.
I was thinking, did he ever make a solo? He should have made some solo records, shouldn't he? Joey Santiago.
I don't know if did he do something?
I don't know. He hasn't done that much. He should pull his finger out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's. I say you try and do like the sort of like anti-solo, I suppose, as much as you can. Yeah, and I don't know what that is, but just when you get it, you sort of try and to play the note that you want to play, but in somewhere where you don't want to play it or something. I don't know.
But do you work these things out beforehand? I mean, the solos, or are they pretty spur of the moment? You kind of have a place for it, and it kind of just takes off.
No, it takes me a while to figure it out. Yeah, it takes forever. Usually, everyone will go away and come back. So, I don't know. It does take me a minute to get that together.
Yeah, it's worth the wait.
I'm
certainly
think so.
Detail.
We can hear one now. This is Black Treacle. It's Arctic Monkeys on Exposure, XFM.
Lately I've been
John Kennedy's Track by Track
Podcast.
Radio X.
You're listening to Exposure on XFM. I'm John Kennedy, and that is Arctic Monkeys, Brick by Brick, from the new album, Suck It and See. It has just come out this week, and Matt and Alex from the band are here talking us through it track by track. Brick by Brick was, I guess, our first taste of this new record, and it surprised quite a few people. I know you've mentioned Nick Cave in the past, and there's a kind of Bad Seeds type gang vocaling going on, a kind of Grinder Man thing, when they all seem to shout.
Yeah.
I really like that. And on the last Grinder Man album, I think they had that down really, really well.
Yeah.
But was that what you were aspiring to with when everybody's joining in, going brick by brick?
Yeah. I mean, it sort of, that was like first tune we came up with, and after, like I was saying before, when we finished touring this time last year, me and Matt went in the studio for a minute and did a demo of that. That was the only tune we had. And we sort of usually songs we write on tour aren't very good, but you kind of come up with odd riff here and there. But I don't know, this one, I think it was we just came up with it one night, this idea that you'd have Brick by Brick would be the title and the rest of it. So we just spent the next 3 weeks or whatever thinking of different things that you might do brick by brick. I saw this interview with Iggy Pop once talking about when he was writing No Fun or whatever, and he'd try and keep it to less than 30 words because it reminded him of some TV show he used to watch as a kid where the host would ask the kids at home to write in, but the letter had to be less than 25 words or whatever, and he said that always stuck with him. So by repeating stuff like no fun, he still only uses 2 words, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I thought it'd be funny to have a crack at trying to do a song with less than 30 words in it, seeing as usually ours have got about 400.
And you want to rock and roll a lot in Brick by
Well, Matt does 3 times.
3
in fact.
times.
It's a triangle.
Yeah.
I've got a limit of 1 or maybe 2 at a push, that's why he swings that
extra, yeah.
that extra bit of rock
Pushed
and
it.
roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, that were a ray of light when we realised it should be 3 rock and roll. That were a eureka moment.
Excellent. And you mentioned Iggy Pop. I mean, looking at some of the interviews, you've been talking about Raw Power quite a lot.
Yeah, you sort of always come back to it. I think, it was something we all listened to when we were in a car together or something. Usually it's like that, or Sabbath, or Sword.
And so can I picture this car with all 4 heads in unison?
A little bit. And also, they're saying that depends whose car you're in.
Right.
I mean, even if that person's obviously driving, they're not in charge of what's... they're concentrating usually. But I think whose car you're in does make a difference. In Jamie's car, we would usually listen to Sword or something.
Right.
But in Matt's, we might have a bit of Wu-Tang or something.
Right.
And in mine, I don't know, I got a stereo.
Just sing to us.
And Nick?
We don't get in his car.
No. Is he not safe?
No, he's yeah.
So the next song...
Me.
The next song is the Hellcat Spangled, and I get this wrong, I was trying to practice it at home. Shalalala. But you sing it and it sounds great and natural, like the kind of thing you would say.
You can't really say it, can you? Yeah, it's hard to say. I've had to say it a lot recently.
Yes.
It's not... looks good written down, though. I like the look of the letters, I think.
Yeah, no, it does. I did kind of, when I first looked at it, I didn't notice it, and then suddenly I was thinking, actually, how do you say that?
Without singing it.
But you can listen to it, and then that's the instruction. No.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Hellcat. Is it the Hellcat Spangled? Is that a place? Is that a bar you hang out in?
Yeah, it's exactly what it
Right.
is, mate. Yeah. And it's spangled with Hellcats.
And the shalalala bit?
I suppose that's just instead of putting bar.
Right,
Yeah, I don't know.
right, okay.
And the fact that it's got one of them in the chorus, I suppose,
Yeah, it helps.
that would just a bit of it, try and put a few shalalalas or yeahs in here as a bit of a respite from all the drivel.
And I like the line about putting batteries in your thinking cap. Inspired.
Yeah.
Did that come out of frustration when you're trying to write something? It's like, get me,
Yeah, take them out. I don't know.
Is it an international phrase, do you think, thinking cap? Do they use it?
No.
Or is it a very British phrase?
Probably is. Yeah,
You just have to try it in a few accents and see
Yeah.
if it sounds normal.
Suck it and see is apparently that has not travelled very well.
Really?
So,
Not at all.
Really? So what's people's interpretations of
I
that?
just think it's rude. Some
Disrespectful.
They're not even. They're putting a sticker over it in America.
Really?
Shelves.
No,
Yeah.
really?
In some shops.
Some in certain stores. Oh
yeah.
Big ones. Yeah.
God, but it seems...
Imagine that.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Not one of those words.
But it sounds like an American phrase, doesn't it? It sounds like something from American advertising. Suck it and see
I
it.
don't know, I think it's quite British, isn't it? That's why it's a bit like Dick Van Dyke or something. I don't know. It sounds...
American, being British.
Wow, so is that going to be a problem then? And if it's being stickered up, do you think it will have... Do you think it will impact
Well, we'll have to
your
see.
future?
Have to look at the figures.
I mean, there's something about one of the interviews you were talking about British bass lines, and which I was intrigued by. And there's some nice bass playing in the Hellcat Spangled.
I would say this
really
one,
like
actually. Yeah, the outro.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier again for some reason because I don't know. Maybe I'd been because when he plays it on his own, you're like, bloody hell, yeah. So like,
Well, it took a while, that one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, but that was like one at first,
Rewarding.
like, accomplishments. It felt like getting that song together. Like when I'm talking about like last year before we were recording, and like we did like a little demo of it or whatever, and it was like, oh yeah, this is a good avenue. It's like, I don't know, there's something about the end of that I think sounds really English on the bass. Yeah, and then
It was just something reading the interview and coming across that phrase, British bass lines. Yes, it's an interesting. I'd never thought about it in those terms, but I listening to the record, I could kind of see what you meant. Which is interesting. So we'll see for ourselves.
Yeah.
This is it. This is Arctic Monkeys with the Hellcat Spangled Sha-la-la-la, possibly on Exposure XFM.
John Kennedy's Track by Track.
Podcast.
Radio X.
It is Arctic Monkeys. Don't sit down because I've moved your chair on Exposure XFM. It's from the new album Suck It and See. I hope that doesn't offend you, that title. And Alex and Matt are here talking us through it track by track. And this is it has a kind of heavy riffing, a bit of heavy riffing, Steel Purpose going on in Don't Sit Down, I think. And this is the first single from the record. And an obvious first single for you, do you think?
Not at all, mate. No.
we didn't. I don't think we thought about it until it got suggested, and we were like, "Oh yeah, if you're up for it, we are."
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like when we were doing it, it didn't seem like an obvious choice. But I'm happy it was.
Yeah. No, it sounded great, and an incident in your life that gave the title.
It was.
Yeah. So a specific moment when you said, "Don't sit down."
Absolutely. I said it to somebody like this engineer in this studio once. And I said that, and then James Ford, who were with me, were like, "Oh, that sounds like it'd be he said it'd be like an old Nuggets tune or something," which I'm not sure I necessarily agree with. But I think either way, it did sound like a song title. It was like, I've likened it to that bit in that Red Hot Chili Peppers documentary, Funky Monks, where Rick Rubin tells Anthony Kiedis to write a song about chicks in cars. Just for like mine and James is one of them.
But it seems like there's a few with Brick by Brick. That's a similar kind of thing in a way. Like, let's try and do a song where we're building it up brick by brick.
Yeah,
and
it's like I suppose the thing that is like once you get a title, it's almost like it's written. Then the song like a kind of it's like an idea. Like a lot of so we were talking about listening to a bit of country music and that recently, like and them George Jones songs that are really funny, like sort of Relief is Just to Swallow Away or whatever. Once you get a title, I feel like that he must have like had it written in his head. It's like you just sort of fill in the blanks. I suppose like this in a way is that you kind of get that title and then just figure out where the verse is gonna meander but come back around to that.
Do the Macarena in the Devil's Lair. Is that how I got that lyric right?
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd hear Arctic Monkeys referencing the Macarena.
That's it.
But why not?
Why not? Well, I can't think of a worse dance to do in the Devil's Lair, you know what I mean? Like, what it was going to be the conga for a minute, but I thought...
syllables lent themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okey Cokey could have been. Might be that live sometimes.
Yeah, when you switch it around just to amuse.
Macarena, I don't know. It feels like it just flows better.
Really?
And you wouldn't want to...
Just suddenly thought of a moment when you're playing it live and people had started doing the...
That's already happened.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow, they start doing the Macarena.
But it's like...
Fantastic.
Yeah, I would just that thing. So if you can't sit down because I've moved your chair, then what sort of ridiculous list of things can you do? And then that would it look like that brick by brick. Just spent the next
Oh, yeah.
few weeks like thinking of things you shouldn't do.
Yeah. And I think the yeah yeah yeahs, is that you singing those yeah yeah yeahs?
That's Matt, actually.
That's Matt.
Me again.
There's Iggy. I think Iggy's got the spirit of Iggy moving.
I think more Aussie, actually.
Do you think Aussie?
Matt,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know.
Cool. That's good. Why not?
It's not a bad
both,
thing.
Yeah, they're both good spirits to be embodied by.
Yeah.
Library Pictures is the next song from the new Arctic Monkeys album. Suck It and See is out now, and we're working our way through it track by track. This is where, is this the wig out moment? Is this what you describe as?
What's this, sorry?
Library Pictures next.
I suppose a bit, yeah.
So I've written down Sabbath and also Butthole Surfers as a reference for this.
Oh, right.
But that's probably because they borrowed from Sabbath quite a lot.
I think this we just want to, like, that's this like riff. We did this sort of like the old way. I guess we used to work out a lot of songs. There was bits lying around and kind of all of a sudden had this like quite chaotic, whatever sort of tune going on where it was slowing down and the riffs and all the everyone's like taking a solo at once or whatever. And they're all fighting with each other, and then I kind of just wanted the words on it to sort of subscribe to that chaos as well. Like so
while there are the mad musical juxtapositions, there are the mad lyrical juxtapositions as well.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're having a lot of fun. There's a countdown. Every rock song's got a countdown.
It's been a long time coming. That we
and you even
From
extend
10
it
as
don't
well,
you?
don't
Sing
you?
one of the notes or one of the words.
that were another one of bloody eureka moment and all that. Like we that were like probably the most fun tune to do. Like everyone were feeling a bit ropey that day and like quite hungover and like we either did that or we did like Love Is a Laser Quest. They were like what we had left, and we were like, might just cave in if you do like a ballad today. So like let's go other way. Bounce back, and so I did that one, and then but that weren't like finished. That countdown we like did thought of that in studio. Like, it needs.
Excellent, and this is it. Library Pictures on Exposure XFM.
Radio X. John Kennedy's Track by Track.
Podcast.
It is Library Pictures, Arctic Monkeys on Exposure XFM from the brand new album Suck It and See. We're working our way through it track by track. We've got Alex and Matt from the band doing the talking. And I guess I was meant to say about Library Pictures that it's kind of conjures up one thing with the title, and then you've given us your kind of heaviest moment on the song.
It's timely, man.
Yeah, on the album.
That's where things started like naming some solos. Like that guitar lead's called the Thundersuckle Fuzz Canyon on that tune. Like that's what it counts down to.
Really?
Yeah. It says it in the thing.
I mean, that's a crazy bit of language.
Yeah. Suck it and see.
Crazy bit of language. All My Own Stunts is the next song, and this has got some good riffing in it as well. I even wrote down some obscure American bands that it reminded me of, like Polvo and Truman's Water.
Oh, that's new to me.
Yeah, they're pretty. Now, if you're looking for wig out bands playing everything all at once, then they're two good examples. But Josh Homme is on this, is he? Doing a bit of backing vocals.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And so
harmonising.
So you had the choice to record just miles away from where you recorded the last album. Well, not mine, but in the same part of the world. But it wasn't as if you didn't want Josh to be involved.
No, so now we were hoping he'd find us.
He was driving from studio to studio.
Found us.
Excellent.
Came bursting through the ceiling one night. She did that back in one.
So what about All My Own Stunts? What can you tell us about this?
This is what I was saying. Wig Out would let us ourselves have a bit of I don't know. They just wanted to put a bit of an ending on one of them, and thought that were best. Your best home for that would be on the end of this. What can I say about? I don't know what to say about this.
Just play it. Get on with it.
Play this one. Yeah. This. Now there's some that will speak over. I mean, we've already had it with Josh coming through the ceiling. That would it.
Josh coming through the ceiling. And you can hear him do that right now. All his own stunts, of course.
John Kennedy's
Track by Track.
podcast.
Radio X. John Kennedy's
Track by Track podcast.
Radio X.
It is Arctic Monkeys on Exposure XFM, all their own stunts, all my own stunts as well, from the new album Suck It and See. And that last bit at the end, there's a kind of bit of singing at the end. Is that significant? In any way?
Oh, I'm from Al Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Is
just,
that a moment in the studio?
Just one of them moments.
that was just this tune we've been working on about being from Al Green.
Which is where in Sheffield you're from.
Yeah.
So is this...
It's that'll be another one of them. Yeah, another brick by brick, another, if it ever happens.
Right, so
It might just be that.
You're going to continue, or that will be its moment.
That might have been too...
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of one of verses to it. It's like, I don't know if I can now burst into it now.
And in contrast to Library Pictures and All My Own Stunts, we've got Reckless Serenade up next. Another fine example of a British bass line, I think, in this song. Herbie Flowers meets Bruce Foxton. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah, so you can take that for what you want. This is... Yeah, I mean, it almost seems to me as if now, from here onwards, the album takes a different turn. It kind of gets a bit more mellow, and it's the other side
I think
of Arctic Monkeys. So you've kind of had your wig outs,
background there,
and now you're kind of getting, I don't know, more lovelorn, or no, looking at the soft and tender side, of you, which is nice. But there's a mention of the voice of reason in this song, and I was wondering who the voice of reason is for you. Is it your dad? Is it the other members of the band? Is it Josh? Is it James Ford? Is there a voice of reason?
Yeah, don't know who it is. It's probably all them people you mentioned.
Various voices.
Yeah, but then sometimes they
contradict each other.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing, I suppose. It's about not being able to get through to that.
Is that they might not even? They might not even.
I don't know. Keep getting the voicemail.
And is this going to be a single? I think this should be a single.
Do you then?
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good one to play. Maybe like a bit later on, be a single.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. And this is it. It's Reckless Serenade, Arctic Monkeys on Exposure, XFM.
John Kennedy's
Track by Track podcast.
Radio X.
You're listening to Exposure on XFM. I'm John Kennedy, and that is Arctic Monkeys with Pile Driver Waltz. It's track 9 from the brand new album Suck It and See. Alex and Matt from the band are talking us through it track by track. And that song was part of the Submarine soundtrack. Is that right?
Yeah, or another version.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose it was like last thing I did for that, and it definitely had like a relationship with some of the first songs that were written for this. It was like around the same time, and I don't know, I just always thought it had like a foot in both views.
And I think in a way it's almost like a classic piece of Arctic Monkeys, Pile Driver Waltz. Kind of it could have fitted on to any of the albums, I think, in a way. Or would you disagree with that?
No,
I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think that there's a certain aspect of your songwriting which kind of...
Yeah, I do think they're very, like on a lot of this one, there's definitely elements of all them other three coming together and kind of getting along. Yeah, it does sort of feel like that. But
and maybe even with the following, with Love Is a Laser Quest as well, that has a kind of 505 feel or that kind of mood.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, 505, like, funny you mentioned that one. I guess that's on when I was talking before about the way we sort of used to jigsaw things together. That would be like the exception. That was just a song that was like chords, lyrics, and melody, as was like Only Ones Who Know on that record or whatever. And but they were sort of only two, and then you had these songs on acoustic, and you were like, how do we make that interesting? Not like the more sort of ballads and that, but to try and give them a bit of something. I mean, one way with the songs that are slower on this album, I've talked about me and Jamie like discovering how to play the other 3 strings on the guitar, and that like sort of chimey, like birdsy sort of guitar things like recurs on a lot of this. I mean, I guess that's where the Smiths feel comes along, because Johnny Marr's chiming guitars and of course the Byrds. No, it makes sense. It sounds great. And Love Is the Laser Quest is the next song, and it has, I mean, it's mellow and plaintive, but the drums sound really kind of big or tough in it, which is a nice kind of contrast within
within the track. Was that hard to achieve? Was that was that?
Oh, I don't know. I think that were just a drum beat that I've probably been messing about with, and we just applied it to this song. Because I don't know. Because I mean, they can't really. It's got to be something like that, like interesting, but still not showing off or going mad. But yeah, and obviously the sound of them are quite. There's like space for them to sound quite big, but not heavy or whatever. But,
yeah.
Sound really good, like drums, don't they? When you played like soft, like they like record really well. That kit does anyway. Like, but that I think that beats like a lot like that one on Cornerstone, like on the last record. It's like for a ballad, and it's slow, and it's like keeping an out way, but it's something like worth. It's not just keeping time.
Yeah,
like. Got something about it. Yeah. I think we like have to do that in a way to kind of keep it. Otherwise, it sort of, I don't know, it stops sounding like us. I think
gets too soppy.
Because I think that's like, that this tune, if you could play it in a different way, and it'd be really like, you got the slide out on it or whatever. It could be really like, like country-ish or whatever.
Yeah,
but you
right.
Take that as it's quite like a standard, like the way it progresses and everything. So you sort of try and think of these little things like the drums or like what the guitar's doing to sort of take it away from that, and make it your own.
And this is it. Love is a Laser Quest. Arctic Monkeys, Exposure, XFM.
John Kennedy's Track by Track
Podcast.
Radio X.
'Cause I'm a fool for
Arctic Monkeys, Suck It and See. It's the title track of the brand new album, which has just come out. And Alex Amata here, talking us through it track by track. I'm John Kennedy, and there's some kind of nice harmonies within this song. But are they double-tracked vocals, or are they you all singing together, or there's just a little bit there's in there? I was just wondering.
A bit of both. Yeah. Sorry, you were wondering.
No, I was just wondering what it was. Well, I was thinking, no, are they harmonising together, or is that actually Alex just singing on top of himself?
Yeah, like all the back
and neck, yeah,
Matt Helders.
That's it.
Come on down.
Yeah, did a bit of that, and then me and Nick do them live. I think Nick sung it as well, probably in studio. He probably did one as well. Layer them up. Yeah,
it sounds really good. So is that the Beach Boys influence coming through?
I suppose a bit. Yeah, that song has got a bit of that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tempting to go like keep putting harmonies on usually, and like because it always sounds really good when you like play it back. But we just like ran out of tracks this time. Really, that thing you kind of do as much as you can, but then yeah. So that, but it's good. So I suppose it stops it getting like too lush. I don't think that's what we're about.
Yeah,
but
the strings come in, and
then
the orchestra,
new can of worms. But
well, I think it should be a single. But thinking about the problems with this title.
No, what we're gonna do
to change the title? Yeah, call it "I'm a Fool for You."
Yeah, it's gonna get known. Why you can't, isn't it?
Would you do that? Would
These markets. Yeah, there's different versions.
We're thinking about calling it that anyway, like because we'd never. It's the first time we had like a title track and a record. We weren't sure if we, necessarily wanted that, so it was like we thought about calling it "I'm a Fool for You," but then I don't know. It sounds like I don't know what that sounds like. Something that
I'm sure it would make a good title.
Sounds like
but it doesn't have the same punch as "Suck It and See," does it?
Yeah,
and you get a reference to Dandelion and Burdock in there.
Yeah,
I mean, how regional is Dandelion and Burdock?
I was talking about this the other day. I thought it was more. There are certainly people who haven't tasted it or never heard of it.
Well, I remember when I went to university and I met people from different parts of the country, and it seemed as if people in Yorkshire knew Dandelion and Burdock. I remember some people in the Midlands were aware of Dandelion and Burdock, but most Southerners, like myself, didn't have any idea about it at all.
They used to have it in chip shops in Sheffield, especially.
"I'm a Fool for You" I've just realised sounds like the kind of title that would precede you telling the band what key to play it in. So you'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, "I'm a fool for you, E minor, boys." Right.
You just turn up and play that.
Excellent. That's Where You're Wrong is the last song on the album, and it sounds to me like House of Love. Do you know House of Love?
Oh, wow.
But kind of,
We're around like
late 80s, around the Stone Roses era.
Yeah.
Kind of, legendary
I don't
Creation
really know
Records
that
band.
much of that.
Check them out; they're really good.
Yeah.
I think it might just be because Creation have there's been a compilation of Creation stuff, so I've been listening to it, and there's a film out, and House of Love are on there, and I was kind of thinking, it kind of sounds like House of Love. But I did think you probably never heard of it, but.
Yeah, I had heard of them, but not. I don't know the records really. I'll take that out. But what's that? Sorry, That's Where You're Wrong. Is this?
Yeah, That's Where You're Wrong. Yeah. Which is, I think, in a way, this is another side of the band. I don't think you've done this sound before.
Not really. No, this would lay the last song we did for it. I think that's something we've always struggled to do, is get a record that. I mean, they've all got their own identity, but I don't know. There's always an exception or something that is leading on to something else. Perhaps I guess on last album it would be Cornerstone, and on the album before I guess it was 505 or something and I think this is that song, and maybe on this one where it doesn't quite. Yeah, I mean it fits in, but it's got something else about it. I mean I always want to do that, get a blueprint and make this album exactly, and it's neat and tidy, but it's never works out being neat and tidy with yours.
But that's a good thing, I
hope so, yeah.
Yeah, well, it opens up avenues for development and more fun. And talking of fun, did I read correctly that the lyrics on this originally involved Edge and Bono?
It were just Edge and Bono, Edge and Bono. Yeah. At first, that would like scrambled eggs yesterday.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Excellent. Well, we can sing that while we listen to it. Thanks so much for coming in.
Okay.
And great to see you again.
Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for having us.
And this is the last tonight from Arctic Monkeys. That's Where You're Wrong on Exposure XFM.